This episode of Work Dive is brought to you by SpeakProficient. English for real workplace communication.
The difference between solving a crisis in 5 minutes versus 5 days isn't usually technical skill, it's how efficiently you can gather context.
Whoa, okay. That is a bold statement to start the day.
I think so.
5 minutes versus 5 days. So you're telling me the difference isn't like that I need to go learn a new coding language or memorize the entire medical handbook?
Yep.
It's just context.
I absolutely stand by it. Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive.
It's great to be back. And today we're doing something a little different.
A little bit.
Usually we're talking about things from the 30,000-foot view. We talk about leadership paradigms, big strategic market moves.
Right, the stuff that happens in the boardroom.
Exactly. But today we are getting our hands dirty. We are going into the trenches. We're talking about the art of intake.
The art of intake. And even just saying it, it sounds so administrative, doesn't it?
It sounds like paperwork.
Yeah.
It really does. It sounds like the boring thing I have to do before I get to do the real work.
And that mindset right there, that is precisely why so many incredibly smart, capable professionals get stuck. They stay stuck in mid-level roles.
Why?
Because they treat information gathering as this bureaucratic hurdle to jump over. But if you look at the best incident commanders, the best triage nurses, the best cybersecurity analysts, they are detectives.
Detectives?
Yes. They don't just collect data, they gather context.
I love that distinction. That's a really good one. Collecting data versus gathering context.
Mm-hmm.
One feels so passive, like I'm just holding a bucket while information just kind of falls into it.
Right.
The other feels active. It feels strategic.
It is entirely strategic. And before we really open up this toolkit, because we have a massive toolkit today, this is practically a masterclass in problem-solving logic,
Okay.
we have to give a huge shout out to the people who are making this deep dive possible.
Absolutely. This whole thing is powered by Proficient.
It is.
They are the ones ensuring that this content stays free and accessible to professionals all over the world who are looking to level up their communication game.
They do incredible work.
We just love what they're doing to help people actually master the skills that really matter in the workplace.
We certainly do. Okay, so set the stage for me. You mentioned the context detective. Who are we talking to today?
Yeah.
Who really needs this toolkit the most? Because intake can sound generic, but the application is so high stakes.
I was looking through all the source material, and you're right. This isn't for the casual emailer.
No.
We are looking at the high-pressure roles. I'm talking to customer support agents who are dealing with angry clients losing money by the second.
Oh, yeah. The panic is real.
It is.
Right. We're talking to cybersecurity and SOC analysts who are watching for threats in real time, wondering if that little blip on the screen is a glitch or a full-blown nation-state attack.
And it's not just tech. It's compliance and risk analysts, HR people, ops, dealing with really sensitive employee relations.
Healthcare intake coordinators or triage nurses.
Oh, absolutely. Claims adjusters, customer operations. I mean, basically, anyone who is the first line of defense.
That's the perfect term for it.
If you are the person who picks up the phone or opens the ticket when things go wrong, this is for you.
Exactly. The communicative need we are laser focused on today is gathering essential context efficiently. The goal for you is to move from that panic mode of what is happening, why is everyone yelling, to that confident state of, I know exactly how to fix this.
And to do it fast.
And doing it in record time.
I love that. I want to be that person. I feel like in my career, I've spent way too much time in the what is happening phase, just flailing around trying to fix things I didn't even understand yet.
We all have. I call it the shotgun approach.
The shotgun approach.
Yeah, you just fire at everything in the dark and hope you hit the problem. It's exhausting, and honestly, it's really dangerous.
Okay, so my role today is the learner. I'm the ambitious trainee here. I am going to filter everything you teach me through one single question.
What's that?
Where do I use this tomorrow when I have to gather context?
That is the perfect filter. Clarity beats complexity every single time. So let's build the foundation.
Let's do it. Section 1, the foundation. Where do we even start?
We start by framing the problem itself. Most people, when they get a request or a report, doesn't matter if it's a bug report in software or a patient complaint in a hospital, they dive straight into the what.
Right. What is broken? What hurts? What is the error code? It seems logical, though. If I walk into a mechanic and say, my car is making a funny noise, I expect him to start looking for the noise.
It is logical, but it's incomplete, and that's the danger. Before you even touch the what, you have to define the boundaries.
The boundaries.
We call this the snapshot method, and the very first term you need to master is scope.
Scope. Okay. I hear this word all the time. Out of scope, in scope. Usually when I get a problem, I just ask, who is having the problem? Is that not enough?
It's a start. It's a good start, but it's really dangerous to stop there. Scope isn't just who, it's the boundaries of the impact. Let's think about an IT support scenario, or maybe even HR.
Okay, give me a scenario and make it painful so I remember it.
All right, you got it. An employee comes to you, let's say you're in HR or maybe payroll operations, and says, there is a payroll error. My check is wrong.
Okay. My first instinct, my immediate gut reaction is to say, let's fix Bob's check.
Right.
So I pull up Bob's file, I look at his numbers, I get out my little calculator, and I start crunching away to make Bob happy.
And that is what we call bad scope. You are treating it as a completely localized incident. You are zooming in on a single pixel when the entire screen might be cracked.
A single pixel on a cracked screen. I like that. Okay, so what's good scope?
Good scope is pausing just for a second. Before you open Bob's file, before you even touch that calculator, you ask it a different question.
Which is?
Does this affect one person, just Bob? Does it affect a team, maybe just the sales department, because their commissions are calculated differently? Or does it affect everyone in global payroll?
Oh.
See the difference?
Yeah, I see. Because if it's just Bob, I need a calculator in maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a minor administrative fix.
Exactly. But if it's global payroll,
Then I need a SWAT team.
yeah.
I need to wake up the CFO. I need to draft a company-wide email to prevent an absolute riot.
You need to call the bank.
I need to call the bank. Yeah.
That is why scope matters. It determines if you are calling a mechanic or if you are calling the fire department.
Wow.
And if you don't define the scope in the first 2 minutes, you might be trying to fix a single laptop while the whole building is burning down.
Okay, that's terrifying.
We're wasting precious time on a micro fix when a macro disaster is unfolding.
So tomorrow, when a ticket comes in, I'm not just asking who sent this. I'm asking, how far does this spread?
Precisely. You're asking, is this an outlier or is this a pattern? That is the detective's very first question.
Okay, got it.
Now, once you know the size of the problem, you need to understand the stage it's playing on. And that brings us to our second term, environment.
Environment. Okay, this one definitely sounds like an IT term. Production environment, staging environment.
It is heavily used in IT and customer operations for sure, but the principle applies almost everywhere. The environment is simply the setup where the work, or in this case, the problem, lives.
Can we break this down a bit more? Because honestly, sometimes this feels a bit abstract. I know I'm supposed to ask, what browser are you on? But half the time I feel like I'm just reading from a script and I don't really know why I'm asking it.
That's a great point. Let's use the purpose context effect framework to demystify it.
Okay.
The purpose of knowing the environment is to replicate the issue. You cannot fix what you cannot see, and you can't see it if you aren't looking in the right place.
Right. Replicate the issue.
The context for when you use it is when variables change outcomes. A website looks different on a phone than it does on a giant TV. And the effect, well, if you ignore the environment, you are solving a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
Okay, let's ground this. Let's say I'm in customer support. The user writes in, they're frustrated, and they just say, I can't check out, the button doesn't work.
The classic ticket. Yes. So if you don't ask for the environment, you might spend hours looking at your back-end code. You check the database, you ping the server, you run all your diagnostics, and you're shouting, the server is fine, the code is perfect.
And I'm getting more and more frustrated because I'm starting to think the customer's crazy. Or maybe they're just lying to me.
Right. But if you just ask.
What browser are you using? Are you on a mobile device or a desktop? Are you on Wi-Fi or are you on 4G?
Exactly. And the customer writes back, oh, I'm trying to buy this on a 10-year-old tablet using the coffee shop's public Wi-Fi connection.
There it is. The problem isn't the store, it's the environment.
Exactly.
The button works perfectly fine on Chrome on a desktop, but it's probably overlapping with an image on an old tablet that's running some ancient, unsupported operating system.
Precisely. And in healthcare intake, the environment might be, is the patient at home alone, or are they in a nursing facility with staff? That context completely changes how a triage nurse responds.
Oh, that's huge. Yeah. If they are alone and they faint, that is a full-blown crisis.
Right.
If they are in a facility surrounded by doctors and nurses, it's a managed situation.
Exactly. The symptom is exactly the same, fainting, but the environment dictates the entire response.
I like that a lot. It's the where and the conditions.
Yeah.
Okay, third term in our foundation. We have scope, we have environment. What's next?
Precision. We need a timestamp.
Okay, I have to push back here a little bit. Why do I need the exact time? Isn't this morning good enough?
The classic pushback.
I mean, if a client says it happened this morning, I know generally when to look. I can just scroll back a few hours in the logs.
Generally is the enemy of efficiency. It really is, especially for our cybersecurity or SRC analysts.
Why? Is it really that different for them?
Think about the scale. Systems generate thousands, sometimes millions of logs per second. If you work in a large company, your firewalls, your servers, your applications, they are all constantly showing data.
Okay.
If you tell a security analyst to look for something that happened this morning, you are asking them to manually search through millions and millions of lines of data. It is a literal needle in a haystack.
Right. That's an impossible task.
It is. But if you can say, the security alert triggered at 10:42 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you have just narrowed the search from millions of records to maybe 50.
It's about matching the human report to the specific system record.
Yes. Humans experience time vaguely, around lunch, during my coffee break. Systems experience time with nanosecond precision, 12.04.33.789.
Right.
To be a context detective, you have to translate the human morning into the system's timestamp.
That's a great takeaway for the help desk folks listening to. Don't accept just now. Look at the clock. Write it down. Be specific.
And be so careful with time zones. 10:00 a.m. for you might be 7 a.m. for the server in another country. Precision is everything here.
Okay, so we have the foundation. We know the scope, the environment, and the timestamp. Now what? Because now the information is pouring in. It's chaotic.
It's messy. People are shouting. Tickets are piling up.
This brings us to section 2, the triage, sorting the mess.
I love the word triage. It's so powerful. It comes from medicine, from the French word trier, which just means to sort. And our first term here is exactly that, intake triage.
Intake triage. So this is obviously for our healthcare intake coordinators and our triage nurses. But how does an IT support analyst use this concept?
Think about the core of it. Intake triage is a fast, first-pass method to sort incoming requests.
First pass, okay.
Now, the biggest misconception, and I see this all the time, is thinking that triage means solving the easy ones first.
Wait, it doesn't? I thought that was like the big productivity hack. Do the quick wins, the snowball method.
That is a productivity hack for you. It makes you feel efficient because you close 10 tickets in an hour. Right.
But it might be an absolute disaster for the organization. Real intake triage means sorting by urgency and path to resolution.
Okay, give me a scenario where Doing the easy thing first is actually the bad thing to do.
Let's go back to the triage nurse. Imagine 3 patients walk into the emergency room at the exact same time. One has a sprained ankle, one has a mild fever, and one is clutching their chest, sweating, and can barely speak.
Okay, the sprained ankle is by far the easiest to fix. You wrap it up, give them an ice pack, send them home. Done.
Right. But if you fix the ankle first, the person with the chest pain who is actively having a heart attack might die in the waiting room.
Right. Okay. Point taken. Very clear point taken.
In an IT help desk or customer operations setting, it's the exact same logic. You might have 10 requests for simple password resets, super easy fixes.
Yeah, I could do those in my sleep.
But if one tick in that queue says the main production server is smoking, or the CEO cannot access the pitch deck for the big investor meeting that's happening in 10 minutes.
You don't do the password resets first. You do not. You triage the critical failure. Even if those 10 people get a little annoyed that they have to wait for their password.
So you're sacrificing your personal efficiency for the survival of the organization.
That's it perfectly. Tomorrow, when you look at your queue, you're not looking for the easy stuff. You're assessing urgency and impact.
Got it.
Now, to do that well, you have to be able to listen to people. And people, well, they talk a lot.
Oh man, do they. This is my biggest struggle. Customers give me too much info. They tell me their whole life story. I had a guy once, I swear, he told me about his dog's recent knee surgery for 5 minutes while trying to explain a simple billing error.
That is exactly why you need to master our next term, signal versus noise.
Signal versus noise. This is a classic engineering concept, right?
It is, but it's a life concept. The idea is to separate the details that actually affect the result. That's the signal. From all the emotional or irrelevant fluff. That's the noise.
This has got to be huge for claims adjusters or anyone in insurance intake.
It is their entire job. Imagine car accident claim. The driver calls in, they're shaking, they're upset. They say, I was on my way to my aunt's 80th birthday party, and I made this beautiful cake, and I was running late, and I was so stressed out.
That is all noise. I mean, it's human, it's a valid emotion to have, but for the claim, it's noise.
It doesn't change who is legally at fault.
So what's the signal in that story?
And it was raining, and the other driver ran a red light.
Boom! That's the legal fact. That's the signal.
That is the signal. Now, as a professional, your job isn't to be rude and say, shut up about the cake. Your job is to gently filter. You have to acknowledge the noise. I'm so sorry to hear about the party, but you diligently record the signal.
So it's like, I'm really sorry about the cake. That sounds stressful, but can you tell me a little more about the traffic light?
Exactly. You steer the conversation back to the signal. You're acting like a sieve, keeping the little gold nuggets and letting all the murky water drain away. A sieve. I like that visual. Okay, so we are filtering. We found the signal. Now we need to know how the whole mess started.
We need the trigger.
The trigger. And you don't mean in the emotional sense, but more in a mechanical cause and effect sense.
Right. The specific single action that kicks off the problem, This is absolutely critical for software debugging, but it's also incredibly important for things like HR employee relations.
How does this apply to HR? That's not a domain I usually think of in these terms.
Let's say there is a major dispute between 2 employees. They had a huge argument in the break room.
Okay. Workplace drama.
The argument is the result. It's the symptom. The trigger was the specific email that was sent at 2:00 p.m. about upcoming shift changes. Finding that trigger allows you to understand the actual sequence of events.
So if you just look at the shouting match, you're looking at the explosion. But if you find the email, you found the match that lit the fuse.
Exactly. In software, it's the same. The user says the app crashed. The trigger is, I clicked the save button while the video is still uploading. That while is so important.
It is everything. Without the trigger, you can't reproduce the problem. And if you can't reproduce it, you can't fix it. It's just a ghost in the machine.
Okay, so we've triaged, We've separated the signal from the noise. We found the trigger. Now we need to actually fix it.
Not just fix it, we need to understand it.
Welcome to Section 3, the deep dive analysis and causality.
All right, this is the mechanics diagnostic. We're finally looking under the hood.
And the most important term here, this is the holy grail of all problem solving, is root cause.
Root cause. I feel like people use this wrong all the time. They throw it around as a buzzword in meetings.
They do. They almost always confuse the fix with the root cause.
Can you give me a classic example, maybe for IT support?
Sure. The server is slow. It's lagging. So you reboot the server. And look at that. It's fast again.
Problem solved. Ticket closed.
No. You treated the symptom. The reboot is the Band-Aid. The root cause might be a tiny memory leak in the software that slowly fills up the server's RAM every 48 hours. So if I don't find that root cause, that memory leak, I'm just going to be rebooting this server every 2 days for the rest of my life.
For the rest of your life, exactly.
Yeah.
My favorite punchline for this is, if you fix the symptom, you survive the day. If you fix the root cause, you survive the year.
If you fix the root cause, you survive the year. I'm writing that down. That is the fundamental difference between a junior analyst and a senior analyst, doesn't it?
100%. The senior analyst gets annoyed that the problem came back. They get curious, they dig deeper.
Okay, but sometimes I dig, and I still can't find it. What if everything looks right on my end, but it still fails? What then?
Then you need to look outside your own walls. You need to perform a dependency check.
A dependency check. It sounds like something for order management or maybe logistics.
It's huge there, absolutely, but it's also massive in modern software. A dependency check is when you review the connected third-party services that could be breaking your workflow indirectly.
Indirectly, that's the key word.
It's everything. Imagine you're an order management specialist. An order is stuck in the system. Your internal system looks totally fine. Everything is green. A dependency check might reveal that the third-party login provider like Google or Okta is down, which is blocking the user from even getting into their account to complete the order.
Oh, wow. So it has absolutely nothing to do with the order process itself. It's a dependency that's blocking the front door.
Exactly. In the modern world, nothing stands alone. Everything is connected through APIs and services.
Yeah.
If you aren't checking dependencies, you are only seeing maybe 50% of the picture.
That is a great mindset shift. It's not just my system, it's the entire ecosystem.
Right. And speaking of ecosystems and connecting dots, we have to talk about a very common trap that risk analysts and cybersecurity pros fall into all the time.
A trap. What's the trap?
Correlation versus causation.
Ah, okay. Having statistics class flashbacks right now.
It's so practical, though. It's the critical distinction between a coincidence and an actual cause.
Okay. Hit me with a cybersecurity scenario.
A server crashes at the exact moment a new employee logs in for the very first time.
Suspicious. That new guy, Dave, he broke it. Get Dave.
That is correlation. The two events happened at the same time. But did the login cause the server to crash?
Probably not, right? That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Causation asks, how? Maybe the server crashed because of a scheduled software update that happened to run at the exact same second the new guy logged in.
Okay, and if I confuse correlation with causation, I'm blaming the wrong person.
You're blaming poor Dave, you're getting HR involved, you're creating a panic, and meanwhile, that bad update is still running and crashing other servers across the company.
So it creates a witch hunt instead of an actual solution.
Exactly. A good context detective always looks for causation, not just a convenient coincidence.
Okay. We are deep in the analysis now. We think we have the root cause. We've checked the dependencies. Now, usually, this is the point where I have to tell someone else about this. I have to escalate it to a manager or maybe an engineer.
And that is where most people completely fail. They do all the hard work, but they can't package the information correctly. This is section 4, the professional standard evidence and escalation.
So this is like being the prosecutor. We're building a case. We're proving what happened so other people can act on it.
Yes. And to win your case, the first thing you need is a sample record.
A sample record. Is this just an example? Is that all it is?
It is a specific, unique, traceable example. In customer support, you should never, ever tell an engineer users are having issues logging in.
I've absolutely said that. Hey, people can't log in.
And the engineer will either ignore you or send back a grumpy reply. Why? Because they can't look up people in the database.
Right, it's not actionable.
It's useless.
Yeah.
They need a sample record. The user with the email address bob@example.com cannot log in, or order I down tag 12345 failed at checkout.
So the purpose is to stop guessing. The context is when you're communicating with back office or technical teams. And the effect is that it turns a vague complaint into a solvable ticket.
Perfect use of the framework. A sample record is the golden ticket. Without it, you are just gossiping about a problem. With it, you are reporting a bug.
Okay, so one good record is great. But sometimes I need more proof than that. I took notes, isn't that enough?
Notes are hearsay in a high-stakes situation. You need an evidence chain.
An evidence chain? This sounds very CSI.
It is absolutely vital for roles like HR, employee relations, or fraud risk analysts.
Give me the HR scenario. That feels like a tricky area to apply this.
Okay, you're documenting a major compliance breach. Let's say someone is sharing confidential company data with an outsider.
Okay, that's serious.
You can't just go to your boss and say, I saw him do it. You need the evidence chain. You need the screenshot of the file transfer. You need the timestamp of when it happened. You need the specific policy document that says, don't do this. And you need them all linked together.
So it's A is connected to B is connected to C. It tells a complete story.
Exactly. It's a set of connected, verifiable details that supports a conclusion. If you break that chain, if you lose the screenshot or forget the timestamp, the whole case just falls apart.
So for all the fraud analysts listening, your job isn't just to spot the fraud. It's to build the evidence chain so the legal team can actually act on it.
Precisely. Now, once you have your evidence, you need to assess the damage. How big is this bomb that just went off? That is the blast radius.
Blast radius. I'm assuming we're not talking about literal explosions.
Usually not. No, it's about how widely the issue affects the entire ecosystem. And understanding this is what drives urgency.
Back to cybersecurity.
Perfect example, a malware detection. You find a virus on a single laptop.
Okay, that's bad.
It's bad, but if the blast radius is just that one laptop, you can isolate it from the network. It's a low-level, contained incident.
But what if that laptop is the main system administrator's computer?
And it has full access to the shared file server that's used by the entire company.
Oh, the blast radius is the whole company.
Correct. Understanding the blast radius is what dictates who needs to be woken up at 2 a.m. If you scream fire for a small blast radius, people will stop listening to you. But if you whisper help for a massive blast radius, you could lose the entire company.
So accurately defining the blast radius is how you build trust and credibility with leadership.
Bingo. It shows you have judgment.
Okay. Wow. We have gathered the context, we've analyzed it, we've packaged it all up for escalation. Now we need to close the loop, right? Section 5, future proofing.
The clean finish.
And the first term here is one I hear constantly in contracts and with vendors, SLA expectation.
Service level agreement.
I know what it stands for, but how do I use it as a communicative tool, not just a legal term?
It's your best tool for managing panic.
Oh, so
Think about IT support or vendor management. You have an angry client on the phone. They want it fixed now.
they always want it fixed now. Always.
If you just say, we're working on it, they stay angry, they feel unheard. But if you align their expectations with the SLA expectation, you completely reframe the conversation.
So I would say something like, Mr. Customer, I understand your urgency. For critical issues like this, our SLA is a 4-hour response time. We are currently at hour 1. So we are well within that promised window, and our top engineers are already on it.
Exactly. You are using the pre-agreed upon rules to calm the emotion. It shows that you are in control and that you know the company's commitments. It turns chaos into process.
It also protects the team, too. It stops you from rushing and making more mistakes just because someone is yelling the loudest.
Right. Now, what happens when your shift ends? You've been working on this critical issue for 8 hours. It's 5 p.m.
I'm going off shift. Good luck, everyone. See you tomorrow.
And that is how disasters happen. That is how customers are lost. You need a clean
Handoff. I'm going off shift. How do I give this to the next person without them having to start all over again from scratch?
This is so critical in healthcare during shift changes or in any support tier escalation.
So what's the rule here? What makes a good handoff?
My rule is very simple. If the next person has to ask the customer, what is the problem? Again, the handoff failed.
Oh, that is the worst customer experience imaginable. You just feel like screaming, I just told the last guy all of this.
A clean handoff is a transfer of the entire story. It includes the scope, the timestamp, the evidence chain, the actions already taken, and the next expected steps. It transfers the context, not just the ticket number.
It's like passing a baton in a relay race. If you drop it, the race is over.
Exactly. And finally, once the issue is resolved, the baton is passed, the fire is out, how do we make sure we don't do this exact same thing all over again next week?
We need preventive controls.
Preventive controls. These are the practical, systemic measures you put in place to stop the zombie issue, the one that keeps coming back from the dead.
This is definitely for the compliance and risk analysts listening.
And for ops and leadership. After you fix a major data leak, you don't just say, oops, sorry about that. You implement preventive controls.
Like what? What would be an example?
We are now enabling two-factor authentication for all employees. Or we are now running a weekly role review to make sure ex-employees no longer have access to our systems.
So it's the lock you put on the door after you've been robbed.
It is the systemic change that proves you actually learned from the crisis.
Yeah.
If you don't have preventive controls, you aren't really fixing problems. You are just bailing water out of a leaking boat.
Wow. Okay. We have covered a lot of ground. From that very first moment of defining the scope to the final preventive control.
It's a complete problem-solving life cycle.
Let's do a quick recap. I want to make sure I have all of this locked in.
Let's do it.
Okay. The communicative need. Gather essential context efficiently.
Correct.
And here's my summary. As the learner, correct me if I'm getting any of this wrong.
Go for it.
Number one, don't just ask what's wrong. Instead, you have to define the scope and the environment.
The boundaries and the context. Perfect.
Number two, don't just listen to the whole story. You have to filter for signal versus noise.
Focus on the facts that actually change the outcome.
Yes. Number three, don't just guess what's wrong. Find the root cause and always check the dependencies.
Don't just reboot the server, find the memory leak. Exactly.
And finally, number four, don't just pass it on. Build a proper evidence chain and execute a clean handoff.
Perfect. That's the whole framework.
So who does this help again?
This helps any professional in support, IT, operations, HR, or risk who acts as that critical first line of defense in solving problems.
I feel more like a detective already. I'm ready for my trench coat.
That's the goal. Now, before we go, we really only touched on the essentials today, but this is a deep, deep skill set.
It is, and we have to thank Proficient again for making this all possible.
Yes, absolutely. Proficient provided the core material for this deep dive, but more importantly, they hold the complete material. They offer specialized, in-depth training programs for professionals, specifically for IT, HR, and support roles, who need to master these exact communicative needs to really advance their careers.
So if you want to go from being the learner to the mentor, you should really check out their programs.
Absolutely. Stop collecting data, start gathering context.
Good luck with your next intake.